Hello everyone, good evening, welcome to today's daily portrait drawing practice. We're doing these portrait drawings every day and it's been 4 months pretty much of every day doing a portrait drawing live stream, and I'm so happy to have you here. Maybe it's the first time you've ever been here drawing along. And if so, I would like to let you know that there is a Discord server where people are sharing their work. There is a link down in the description and you can join. You can get the daily reference there and share your work and connect with a few of us. And we're going to be drawing Dannika today. Dannika Rowe Sull on Instagram, amazing artist. Salut, Isidore Artur. Hi, Ingrid, Oliver, Kiki, Lewis. If you are here live, then please do say hello in the live chat. And I encourage you to chat, to ask questions of each other, ask questions of me. And we're going to draw. And I've decided, hello Ike, nice to see you here. Rachel, hello again. Adam, greetings. I'm excited about your new paper purchase, Adam. I've got this little spot here between Morpheus, Lawrence Fishburne, Radha, and this wonderful smiling person. There is some space here, and I feel compelled somehow, rather than doing a little portrait and squeezing it in, I kind of want to make it big and fill the space, even though it's going to be behind the others. But that's what I feel like doing. That's what I'm going to do. And we'll see how it turns out. It could be an interesting way to fill this space. So how is everyone doing? Lisbeth is here. Lilo Fadenfish, Nabend, Ronnie. Nick finally made it live. So good to have you here live. The new paper is so smooth. So the Canson Bristol paper, am I correct, Adam? Which I have found to be quite similar to the Hahnemüller Nostalgie paper. That's what I tried out, and it was so cool to hear that that's the one you got. So I'm on my pencil spread still. I did a drawing from this reference, which until I tidied up today, I had right here during my shadow shape workshop on the weekend. And as I was doing it, I thought this would be really interesting to do in a brief time frame. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to set my timer, which I also seem to have tidied away. Here it is. For 10 minutes, and see what I get done in 10 minutes. Buenas nachos, Wolverine. Here I have this Willow Inktense pencil, and I'm going to start drawing. And I'd love you all to draw along. Let's do it. Any spontaneous questions before I start, so that I have something to respond to answer? Canson and a 1.5 parallel pen. Ooh, a fine little parallel pen indeed. All right, 10 minutes. So I just have the 3.8 parallel pen, but I do have a Hellitz calligraphy pen and a Faber-Castell calligraphy pen, both of which have like interchangeable nibs. And I think it's 1.4. I think the biggest one is maybe 1.9. So a couple of different nibs. And the 1.4 is one I've been drawing with recently. And it's a nice size. So that sounds really good. 1.5 parallel pen. And it's bound to use less than half as much ink as the 3.8 parallel pen, I would imagine. So I'm really curious how your experience with it is going to be. Dannika is from the Kanyo Artist Community Collective, and in many of our daily portrait practices we've been sketching people from the Kanyo group chat. And if you don't already know, that is a place where many wonderful people share references of themselves, mostly, also of other things, cityscapes, food, party scenes, all sorts of wonderful things. There are a lot of selfies, and a lot of them are really wonderful, creative selfies, which are particularly interesting to draw and paint. And it's really cool because it's a group of people who are interested, I'd say, largely in drawing and painting. So they have an eye for when they see themselves looking like they'd be good muses. And so there are a lot of really cool, interesting self-portraits in that group chat for people to draw along with. And if you're interested in joining the Kenya group chat, send me a message or an email somehow. I will send you the invite link. It's a Telegram group chat, so you need the Telegram app. And it's cool. So I was looking... I've for these themed drawing sessions, so we're still in Shadow Shapes month. I shall endeavor to film my Shadow Shapes tutorial this week and have it up on my Patreon. Check out the Patreon link in my description. And so yeah, I will browse the references and with Shadow Shapes in mind, because that's been the theme this month. Or last month when I was thinking pure line, I would look at images and be like, what would be interesting in a reduced kind of line style? What would be a fitting reference to draw from? And yeah, it's just a really cool, at the same time as it's a wonderful resource to find images to draw, it's just such a cool community. So I just got in touch with Dannika and was like, I'm focusing on shadow shapes at the moment, and this is really interesting. Could I work from your photo? And she was just like, yeah, sure. And then it's like a connection established. We didn't know each other before, and now we are kind of aware of each other's existence. Danielle, t'es là? Danielle? Kiki asks, Adam, how do you like the 1.5mm pen? So if I understood correctly from the Discord chat, you just got that pen today and that paper today. So that's very exciting. A fresh art supply acquisition. And the reason I picked this image, I thought it was really interesting that in the very bright side, like this side of the reference, although it's not in shadow, there are a lot of interesting shapes that provide a lot of information for finding our way around. And it's interesting now, just in 4 minutes, I wish I had my weekend drawing to compare to. Every drawing's different, isn't it? Every context, every time we make a thing with a different focus and different intent, different things happen. So this is really interesting. This is also smaller, and it's not like as instructive, but I feel like it's flowing really nicely. So yeah, here, the same way we're thinking of shadow shapes, it's like, look, here's a light shape, here's a light shape. Oh, here's a little light shape. Here's an interesting rectangular light shape. Oh, here's a light shape. And yeah, flowing on from that idea of shadow shapes is then shifting into just value shapes in general. Hello, good morning, Corinna. Welcome to your Tuesday. Oh, by the way, Corinna and everyone else, Tuesday, wait a minute. Oh yeah, Tuesday, my time, where I this part of the planet that I inhabit, every Tuesday we draw each other in Zoom. So before the live stream tomorrow, there'll be a Zoom session, which everyone's welcome to join. And Corinna, I think there was something mixed up with the time last week, wasn't there? You were going to join, but then it was over. So 7:30 German time, and this is the last time before we go into daylight savings. So it's going to shift again next week. But yeah, 7:30 Central European time. We meet in Zoom every Tuesday, and everyone is welcome to come and draw with us, hang out, talk about pens, talk about all sorts of random stuff there's a lot of random stuff that gets covered in our Zoom meetings. Yeah, so this is it's called Willow, this pencil color. There's a lot of kind of interesting names. I would think it's a kind of like an earth tone pigment. I don't know if it's actually made from willow. That would be interesting. Sabra's doing a really wonderful series of live streams on Wednesdays, Sabra Aulad Issa, on earth tone pigments in oil painting, and it's really, really cool. So check those out. I, having had made my own pigments for a while, to making natural inks, I was really interested in the subtleties and variation of earth tone pigments. And also botanical pigments tend to have very earthy tones. So I thought it was just such a brilliant idea that Sabra's focusing on these earth tone pigments in the live stream series. So cool. Marque Daniel. Hello Isidore. Salut Daniel. Welcome. That's so nice to have you here. No problems with being late. All latecomers are welcome. Everyone's welcome. Sometimes I'm late. And with all this daylight savings time change business, it makes things extra confusing. So I don't know what that's going to mean in coming time, because my ability and availability to live stream is kind of determined by the willingness of my children to go to sleep. And they are aged between 6 and 11. And with daylight savings, I would be happy for there to be no daylight savings. It used to completely not faze me, but as a parent, I just find it completely inconvenient. What's the point? It's just, I feel like I get into a rhythm, the kids are getting to bed, and then, oh no, now they're just going to be awake an hour longer every day. It's going to be harder to get them to school. Ugh. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. So there may be some turbulence in the scheduling and my availability to stream in the coming weeks. We'll see. All right. So push that willow pigment around a bit, and that was 10 minutes. We're at the 10-minute mark. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Martina, welcome. Oh, Rachel, that is an interesting question. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention it, but my thing for the next 2 weeks is I'm going to show a Procreate portrait from the archives at the end of this, if you're interested in seeing some of my Procreate work, because I'm going to, on the 5th of April, I'm going to be doing a Procreate workshop. If you're interested in that, stick around, because there will be things to see. What's this? Bright blue. Okay. So now there's not a lot of shadow shape. There are a lot of shapes, a lot of value shapes, but comparatively it's like it's all over on this side. There's a bit in the glasses. May want to get a bit darker, a bit more definition here. But I'm going to use this bright blue just to push the contrast and shadow shapes a bit. So natural inks. Oh, you may very well have art supplies in your kitchen. So it's super fun. It's also something that I really enjoyed doing with my kids. I made a course about on the Sketchy Art School called Ink Naturally, and that was in 2020 in lockdown, and I did a lot of these things with my kids because we were all home all the time, and we would go foraging together, and it was amazing just going outside, going into the garden or going into the forest or a park, and just be like, oh, what's this plant? This is an interesting flower. This is an interesting berry. I wonder what color I can get from it. And you do not need much. So even tea, super strong tea, you'll get some pigment from it. And it starts like that, basically, just cooking, letting things steep. And because I had a lot of time in 2020, I experimented with a lot of things, and some things just you can make ink with just by sitting it like cold steeping, which I really enjoyed, with some things like poppy petals, the red poppy that we have here. You can just let it sit in cold water on the windowsill for a day, and then you have a jar of amazing pigment. Or beetroot juice, turmeric. Those are also great ones from the kitchen. An incredible thing is basically all frozen berries. In the process of freezing and thawing, the cell walls of the fruit, they freeze and then they break open as they thaw, and it lets all this juice out, and you can use the juice to make ink. So there's a lot of like kitchen inks, and then there's stuff from the garden. And if you're foraging and getting out into nature to collect things to make ink, it's really, there are important things. It's important to do your research. Is this safe? Because there are some things you should just leave alone, and there's also it's important only to take from the abundance of nature, and if there is not much of something, or if it's in a phase of the cycle where there's pollination happening, it's really good to be in tune with those things, and not to forage supplies to the detriment of nature. That would be undesirable, I'd say. So but interestingly, there are some supplies, some plants, that once they finish pollinating, they like mallow flower or malva, it throws its petals down. So it's been pollinated. It's really hard to pick the flowers, to separate them from the plant when it's not pollinated yet. And I interestingly learned that once pollinated, they just kind of let go of the petals because they don't need them anymore. And that's like the perfect time to forage. So it's a wonderful journey, a wonderful experience, getting to know your surroundings, getting to know the world through pigments, and what inks you can make with different plants and stuff. It's so cool, and you don't need much to do it. But if you do start experimenting with kind of questionable, how healthy is this, like dogwood berries, I think that's what it's called. There are some things like, it'd be good to have like some old pots, something dedicated that you use only for making ink. If it's not knowingly an edible supply, then it's good to like be on the safe side, and you don't want to put anyone's health at risk by mixing your ink making with your kitchen wares. But it's not, you don't need much to get into it. There are things you can start adding, like gum arabic or cherry sap, which you can here it's possible to forage cherry sap. Gum arabic is not from here, which is like acacia sap. And yeah, there are modifiers that you can add, and you can get into making lake pigments, which you can make your own dry pans and like watercolors. Pretty cool. And then you need some extra supplies, which are a bit more unusual. But I also, especially in the beginning, I really like to keep it just to what I could forage myself, like what I could get from my surroundings was what I had access to and what I used. So it's a really fun thing to explore. And something which I'm sure I will get back to someday. But recently, it has been less of my focus. But the phase I had of working mostly with ink was very informative and wonderful. All right, that's it. But I said I'm going to show you a Procreate portrait. Claire Wilcox, illustrator, is here. Haha! I don't know what's worse though. They're not going to sleep at night or waking up early, like at the moment, because it's light so early. I don't know either. Ashley, boop, 10 minutes, all done, so fast. Love the color combo. Sepia and blue. Yeah, this in the Derwent Inktense range, it's called Willow. So it's kind of, I feel like it's like a soft yellow ochre kind of color. Not too bad. Martin, am I from England? I am not from England, though I do have some English ancestry. I grew up in Australia, so-called Australia, and I currently live in Germany. Where are you from, Martin? Where is everyone from? Let me know in the chat where you're from right now. Just type in where you're from. That would be interesting to know. Ashley, Dylan, that story was lovely. I hear you. When I lived in Japan, there were many edible roadside plants that could be used for cooking. It was neat to be exposed to that knowledge. It's amazing how many just plants all over the place are edible. And I have gotten to know some of them here in the past years. And now that the green is returning and it's spring and see these plants growing, it's like, oh, we can eat that. Look at that. We could eat that. But it's also important to learn that some of them look like the ones that will make you feel really, really bad. So it's important to kind of educate yourself and not just go eating everything you find. Adam says it's much easier to control than the 3.8. This is the 1.5 millimeter parallel pen. I like the large look of 3.8, but don't quite have the skill yet. And it could be interesting when you want the thicker line, then you've got your two pens now. You could use the 1.5, and when it's like, this calls for the 3.8, then you can use that. So it's cool. You have some variety. Adam is in Maine. Nick is in San Diego, California. Claire is in Devon, England. Chanel is in Jamaica. Rachel's in England. Martina's in California. Ashley is in Hemet, California. Annette is in Denmark. Ingrid's in Switzerland. Lydia's in Salzburg. Lisbeth is a Welsh immigrant in Hampshire, England. Interesting. It's so good to have you all here. Thank you for being here. Oh, I said I would show a Procreate portrait, so I will. I really enjoy being able to be here, drawing, working with you. It's so fun. What do we look at today? Have all of these portraits from the past, from a more digital time. So this is on the 5th of April. I'll be doing a Shapes in Procreate workshop. So this is, I'll make it, how's the glare situation going on? Whoa. What's going on? Okay. Maybe if I go like this. So when I would finish these, I would add a colored layer. You can see here, I put a pink layer on top and I just changed what kind of layer it is. So this is how it looked as I was making it, which is interesting, pretty muted, earthy tones compared to the hot pink layer I put over it. So the way that I work in Procreate is all about shapes. Look at that. No line work there at all. And can have a look in a moment. It's so many, a lot of layers I use a lot of layers when I work like this, so I can like see, oh, how does this work? Or maybe change the transparency of something. Here I added just some digital texture with one of the paint brushes. And you can see here, yeah, quite a lot of layers. Like everything that's the same value or the same kind of shape shares a layer. So the brightest here was the piercing and the teeth. They exist on one layer. The highlights of the glasses are on a layer. So here all of the shadow forms on the skin tone, they all exist in one layer. Whoa! All of the, oh yeah, so that's interesting. All of the darkest shapes in the face, the facial hair and within the mouth and the eyes, that's all one layer. And here you can see like what exists below without that strong contrast, and just working with the transparency of these layers is a feature of Procreate that I really enjoyed playing with. So that's what I'm going to be getting into in the workshop, showing you how I put these portraits together, and just I find it a super fun way to work with a medium that is so different to drawing on paper, and being able to completely focus on shapes rather than thinking about line and where to put lines and stuff. It's a very interesting process. I like it a lot. So yeah, that's coming soon. If you're interested in joining the workshop, the link is in the description. You can just go to dylansara.com and there are tickets there. And that's it for today, dear friends. Thank you for being here. I would love to see your work. So as I mentioned earlier, the Discord link is in the, oh, look at that yellow when it's like, whoa. Yellow down here is like shining in the darkness. That's really cool. I'd love to see your work. So please tag me on Instagram, #DrawingWithDylan, tag Dannika, and join the Discord server if you haven't already. It's a wonderful place to share and connect. And I think we have 299 members in the Discord server right now. So you could be the 300th. Wouldn't that be special? Cool. Don't eat baby bamboo shoots. Corinna asks, Lisbeth, where in Wales? My family from Ebwa Vale. Dylan, there may not be need. Have I tried Affinity or other programs? I do have Affinity programs, yes. Lisbeth had friends from I don't know how to pronounce that, EBBW, Ebwa Vale. Cool. FX Node. Do I have one of those paper-like films on the iPad? I sure do. I do have paper-like film on here, and I dropped something on my iPad and smashed it, and the paper-like film held my iPad together. So there are actually splits through the iPad. It still works. And I'm so glad I have a paper-like film on here. I like the feeling of it. I use the Apple Pencil, and it's not that clack plastic on glass feeling. So yes, I do have a paper-like film, and it saved the functionality of my iPad. Otherwise, I would have had to pay like 400 euros to replace the screen. So yeah, it's a good idea to have something like that on your device. Corinna, feel free to talk about whatever you want in the chat. It's actually good. Apparently it's really great when people have conversations, connect, perhaps become friends, and there's an exchange in the chat. It's really great. And if you've made it all the way to the end of this, please put your drawing hand emoji in the chat. If you're here live or if you're watching the replay, I would love to see your drawing hand in the chat to know who made it all the way to the end. Ashley, in brackets, hand holding a pen. Leslie, a bit late, that's okay, you can watch the replay. Adam, thank you for leading this every day, and thank you for all your guidance. You're so welcome. I enjoy it so much. Thank you for being here. If anyone would like to put a thumbs up on this video and all of my videos, that would be really cool. That is one way to support. So subscribing to the channel, just showing up and drawing with me is great. If you have the monetary means, you could buy me a coffee. There's a link in the description. There's also my Patreon, where you can also buy me a coffee a month and you can get some high-res photos of my work. Or for 2 coffees a month, there's a video tier, and every month I make a tutorial. This month is going to be on shadow shapes, which I've been focusing on the past few weeks. And that is a great way to support me. It's a great way to learn together. And if you're super, super, super keen, my mentorship is coming up and we could learn together. We can meet together. There's a tight group of mentorees, and we meet up every couple of weeks and chat about the projects that we're developing together and working on together, and whether it's techniques or creating a vision for a body of work, how we can cultivate our inspiration and channel it into making something and developing as we go. It's like that's kind of the spectrum of things you can do. There's also my watercolor portraiture class. You can find that on my website. There's like many ways to learn with me, and each way supports me. Whether you're here free watching this, drawing along, giving me your attention and watch hours and thumbs up, that's really great. But there's all these other ways as well, which also helps me buy art supplies and pay the rent and such things. So whatever way you're able to be here and participate, I really appreciate having you here. And it's so cool to know that so many of you are out there working on these same portraits together. It's super fun. Thank you for the thumbs up and the drawing hands. Cool. And Lisbeth and Corinna are both on Instagram. Connect there. You can send me a message and I can send you each other, or maybe you've already found each other. And we'll be back here tomorrow. But tomorrow's Tuesday, so I'll start a little bit later, although this was 9:30. So tomorrow we'll be starting at 9:40, 10 minutes later than we started today. And at 7:30 p.m. German time, you can come and draw with me in Zoom, and we get to hang out and draw together. Thank you for those love hearts floating up in the chat. I see love hearts, love hearts. You can hit this little button and say, I get to see your love in a little visual depiction. We hang out in Zoom, we draw for 2 hours together, and it's so much fun and it's such good practice, and I couldn't do what I do here if I hadn't been doing that every week. It's like a core part of my creative practice, and it's social and fun because we get to hang out in Zoom and chat and share absurd stories and dreams with each other. Cool, thanks everyone. I'll see you tomorrow.